Hey friends, welcome to the Genius Way Show. I'm your host, Ben Hummel, and it's great to be with you here on the last day of 2023. And today's topic is going to be about how to start over in the new year, or rather, how to start over whenever you need to. But we'll get into that later. So one of the things that I want to start talking about today as we get into our topic is the word and the concept teleos. It's a Greek word that means either end or goal or purpose. And when we talk about genius, we've got to always remember that idea of teleos and the idea of living teleologically, living, going forward towards our goal, our purpose. Because that's really kind of where our genius lives. Our genius is there to help us continually develop our purpose. And while we're doing that, living teleologically, living purposeful driven lives, we have to, out of necessity, we have to be able to start over and over and over again. We have to be able to have the freedom to begin again. And so at this time, at the end of the year, the beginning of the new year, this is a really good time to talk about this topic and to really dig into what does that really mean to start over? What actually is our privilege, our right, or the necessity of starting over? What does that really entail? And what happens in that dynamic of starting over? So first I want to read you a quote by a guy named Richard Tarnas. And this is about basically about genius and about our nature. Okay, so it says every substance not only possesses a form, one could say it is possessed by a form, for it naturally strives to realize its inherent form. It strives to become a perfect specimen of its kind. Every substance seeks to actualize what it is potentially. And so what this is saying, Richard is saying, we all have potential. And as humans, it's not just to be a perfect human being biologically. Each one of us has a genius, which is an inherently original blueprint of what each human is supposed to be in its potential, what gifts it was born with, the talents, the callings, the purpose, the teleos of what this particular human is. And so, Tarnas is saying, not only do I have a form and I possess one, I'm possessed by it, meaning my potential possesses me. My potential is always going to be calling me forward towards it. It's always going to be pulling me towards my potentiality, towards what I am kind of in my blueprints, in my existential DNA, supposed to live out. It's not about destiny and fate. It's more about I have potential. I have a blueprint of what I can become in this lifetime. And that blueprint possesses me. It's pulling me forward. And so our job here is not to make something up. It's to find that blueprint, that genius, that existential DNA that we have, and kind of move with it as it is pulling us forward. I mean, whenever you found something in your life, tell me if this is true, because this has certainly been true for me and the people that I know. When you found something in your life, some kind of expression that's in line with your genius, it feels like it is like when you step on that path of that particular thing, it feels like it pulls you. Like I remember when I first started singing in a rock band when I was a teenager. And it was just magic for me. It was just magic. And before that, when I was in plays, when I was a younger kid, it was just magic, and it all kind of worked. It all kind of fell into place for me. It kind of pulled me forward. And so when you get into a path or a particular aspect of your path that is your genius, that is your potential, you will feel it cooperating with you. Not only cooperating, you'll feel it pulling you into it and drawing you into it. Conversely, if you're on some kind of path that's not working for you, that is not in line with your potential, that doesn't have the flavor of your genius, you're going to meet resistance all the time, all day long. You'll be meeting resistance. It's going to be hard. It's going to be unfulfilling. It's going to be, really tough. So when we're talking about moving into the new year, living teleologically, living towards our purpose, we need the luxury of being able to start again over and over and over again, as many times as necessary. Because as we head down a certain path, we have to have the freedom to know whether this path is going to be on the path of my teleos, of my purpose, or whether it's not. And sometimes we have to go all the way down to find out, well, that's not it. Okay. And you know what? In human life, more often we miss the point. More often we follow a path and we find out, well, that's not really that. And so what are you supposed to do at that point? What are you supposed to do when you follow this path down thinking, oh, I'm supposed to be this, or I'm supposed to express this, and you get all the way down there and there's nothing there? What is one supposed to do? Well, since we have a purpose, since we have a genius, since we have potential, we have to have the freedom and the kind of fulfilling responsibility of starting over. And so as humans, that's one of the things that is inherent in our experience, the ability to start over without shame, without failure, without worry, without judgment, to just start again, start over again. And it's really kind of the attitude of, you try really hard, you make these plans, you strive, you put the effort in, you put in the diligence, you put in the, I show up, I do everything I'm supposed to do, and it still doesn't work. And it's like, okay, what's next? That's really the attitude and the vibe that we have to have going into our personal development. We have to try things. We have to try the next thing. So what do I mean by the next thing? Whatever is occurring to you right now that feels like it's your potential, that feels like it's your calling, you have to try it. You have to try it on for size. Otherwise, you will never know. And so there's all kinds of ways that we can use to hone into a feeling to see whether that thing you're about to try is on the path of your potential. But short of that, we need to have the freedom to experiment. And that's what that means. Most experiments are not successful. They're not. But once you get there, guess what? All your effort makes sense. Once you get to the path of your potential and your purpose, all your effort makes sense. But along the way, lots and lots and lots and lots of experimenting and failing and then starting over. So my wish for you this new year, for 2024, is for you to see your ability to start over as your inherent right as a human being, starting over again without shame, without a sense of failure, without doom, just to normalize it is normal to start over. In fact, if I couldn't start over, that would be really weird and abnormal, But for humans to do it without a sense of failure, to do it now with another sense of adventure, of experimentation, of fun, of interest, of curiosity, So we are supposed to meet some dead ends in this life. We just are. Along those ways, we have all kinds of lessons that we learn. We encounter all kinds of people and wild and weird situations that teach us things, that deepen us, that carve out space in us. And as we move down each one of these pathways, we don't fail, but we do need the opportunity, and we do need to develop the skill to know how to start over without shame, without judgment, and just to be able to know that is normal to start over again. So as you move into this new year, I want you to think about something here. Everybody kind of moves into how do I make New Year's resolutions? How do I do things differently than last year? And that's all good stuff. But if you're the same person as you were last year, chances are you're going to do the same things. And so what we change isn't necessarily our habits, but ourselves. What we start over with is not necessarily we start doing something different. We start over as a new version of ourselves, a completely new version. And it's okay to completely change your mind about how you see certain things. One of the things that's cool about experimenting is that at the end of the experiment, you learn something. You could be thinking that, X plus Y equals Z. And when you get down, to the end of the experiment and you find out X plus Y doesn't equal Z, X plus Y equals a bowl of cherries. You're like, wow, I had no idea that was going to happen. And that happens all the time. So the way that you have to think of X plus Y equals Z rather than X plus Y equals a bowl of cherries, that makes you be a different person. It shifts the way you see things. So let's say this year you were thinking, okay, I'm going to put my nose to the grindstone and I am going to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I'm going to get, to earn money and get a nest egg. And by that time, that idea of saving and working that hard, and I'm going to, feel better about myself, and I'm going to have this other experience of being, a little bit more safe or a little bit more, I don't know what, secure. And then you did that. Let's say you had that savings. Let's say you find out, well, what that actually did for me was make me exhausted and I wasn't able to enjoy my life. And the way I see things now is I'd rather have a little bit less money, but enjoy my days more, enjoy my family more and my friends, and enjoy taking a nice, slow walk around the block. So, by the end of the experiment, you have to have the freedom and give yourself the freedom to start again with a completely new way of seeing it, or at least a completely new curiosity. Well, maybe X plus Y doesn't equal Z. Well, maybe it equals, B. I don't know. In other words, what is your new curiosity? What is your new suspicion based on what you've spent the last year doing? Okay. And so we don't need to ask for permission to change in this way, to start over. This is part of our right as human beings. All we have to do is to give that right to ourselves. We have to give ourselves that permission to, again, without shame, without judgment, without fear, become something new and start again, over and over and over again, as many times as necessary. That is actually more realistic in terms of living a human life rather than I tried something and I had a great idea and it turned out successfully and I live happily ever after. No, this is a school. We're living in a school, and we need to consistently shift our identity, not like turn into a different person, but to go from one experiment to the next in terms of what we're observing about life, and to be able to see things in a whole new way when we need to, right? So when we move into the future, when we move into the next experiment, we have to have the freedom to become a new person. And what that means is a new person means I am going to be open to possibilities that I wasn't open to last year. I'm going to be open to possibilities. I'm going to be open to experiences. I'm going to be open to other things that I completely neglected to consider before. And so that opens up a different part of you. It's an expansion, it's a deepening, and that's another way to learn and grow and understand your life. So we're not moving into the new year doing different things. We're moving into the new year doing things in a different way. That's the key. So I want to show you a clip here to illustrate this point. There's a book by a guy named Hermann Hesse, and the book is called Siddhartha. And in it, we have Siddhartha, who is a spiritual seeker in India. And in this clip I'm going to show you, he had just decided to come out of the jungle, come out of the woods, and shave his beard. And he realized, I'm not going to starve myself anymore, or I'm not going to go through all these deep spiritual practices. What I'm going to do, because he had just met this beautiful woman, and he realized he doesn't know anything about love. And so he's going to learn from her. So I want you to look at this clip and see this kind of shift in focus in terms of what he thinks he needs and this change and this starting over that he's doing. I'll see you on the other side.
Did you not stand outside yesterday and greet me?
Yes. I thought you saw me. 3 years ago, I was Siddhartha, the Brahmin's son who left his home to become a sadhu. However, that was yesterday. Today I have entered a new path that leads to your garden. I shall never lower my eyes before yours. Not even your fan can hide their beauty.
Is that all you have come to tell me, young Brahmin?
I have come to say that you are all the things that will outlive me. That you, Kamala, will be all the beauty that will be in the shadow we leave. You will be my first love, my only love.
Well, this is the first time that a sadhu has come from the woods with a desire to love me. I've never seen a sadhu talk like this before.
I learned a lot today when I got rid of my beard. Look, I have oiled and combed my hair. I'm already beginning to learn from you.
Many young men come to me, and they all have fine clothes, fine shoes, scent in their hair, and money in their pockets. That is how young men come to me. You can't just be some beggar from the woods. Don't you understand?
But how can I be rich? How can I be worldly?
Oh, many people want to know about that. Tell me, what can you do?
I can think. I can wait. I can fast.
Nothing else?
I can recite a poem for a kiss. Will you give me a kiss for a poem?
Mm-hmm. What about the poem? Tell me, can't you do anything else other than think, fast, and compose poetry?
I can do spells. I know how to do incantations. I read the scriptures.
You can read and write? Well, I think I can find a job for you.
There's another visitor for you.
I'm sorry you'll have to go. There's another visitor for me, but perhaps I will see you tomorrow. I found a job for you.
Oh, yes?
It's with a rich merchant, Kamaswamy. You are lucky, Siddhartha. One door after another is being opened to you. Tell me, How does it happen? Do you have a special charm?
I told you yesterday that I can think, wait, and fast. But you didn't consider that important. You will see, Kamla, that this sadhu from the forest can do things that other men can't. I've come to you to learn about love. From the first glance I knew that you would be my teacher, my guru.
But what if I said no?
But you haven't, Kamla, because you recognize that I'm like a stone thrown into the water, a stone that finds its way quickly into the depths. In the same way, when I have a goal, I do nothing. I wait, I think, I fast.
So in this recording, Siddhartha wasn't worried about his image as a sadhu, as a spiritual seeker. He's like, wow, I realize I don't know anything about love, and I want to learn. And who best to learn from is this courtesan? Who best to learn from this beautiful person? That was his sincere idea at the time, and he was happy to let go of his time as an idea, as an ascetic, as somebody who gave up all of life to try to find enlightenment. That was his previous idea. And now he's got this one, and he will have more and more and more, just like us. And so we go from one thing to the next, thinking that that next thing is going to deepen our understanding, give us something that we don't have, enrich us in a certain way. And we're not wrong. We're not wrong. Those impressions of thinking that, hey, here's what I'm curious about next, those are right. This life is not supposed to be something that is stuck and stagnant. You're not supposed to reach your potential, 1/3 through your life, 1/3 of the way through your life. Hopefully, you're still jumping over hurdles and discovering more and more and more about yourself and the universe right until you take your last breath. I mean, that's the idea here. So this is no place to get stuck on what happened before. This is no place to get stuck on, what I thought was going to work yesterday. And also this is no place to get stuck on, oh, shoot, that didn't work. Oh my God, I'm a failure. Not at all. Not at all. There is no failing here when you're on your own genius path. There's no failing when you are unfolding your potential. The thing is what that actually looks like might be different than what you think it looks like. In my book, unfolding your potential means falling on your face over and over and over again, sometimes in order to find out, that wasn't it. Let's see what else I can do. Let's try something else. That didn't work. Okay. At least I know that's not the way to go. Okay, so I'm going to read you another quote. This is from a song that I love by a band called Death Cab for Cutie. Hopefully some of you guys know them. And this is a short little phrase. It goes, there is a roll of a lifetime, and there's a song yet to be sung. And there's a dumpster in the driveway of all the plans that came undone. And I really love that thing. There's a dumpster in the driveway of all the plans that came undone. So what is a dumpster? A dumpster is the place where you throw all the stuff that is just trash. It's where the trash goes. And think about it in this way. During the day, there are so many things that we do, so many impressions that we have, so many experiences that we have, that if we held on to all of them, we wouldn't have room to live. We wouldn't have room to breathe. We'd be suffocating by the weight of all the experiences that we have. And so, same thing goes with our plans and our ideas. When or if they don't work, the residue of that not working, like that experiment, let's say you experimented with something like Siddhartha did. He experimented with being a sadhu and starving himself and meditating and living in the jungle with no possessions. He experimented with that. And he realized that that wasn't giving him everything that he needed. So he had to throw out that idea that that was going to give him enlightenment and throw it in the dumpster as trash. Because if he kept carrying that around, he couldn't go into the next phase of his experimentation, of his starting over, right? And so we need to have a way to throw out the trash of the day, the week, the month, and the year, and the life. We need to have a dumpster in the driveway for all of our plans that didn't work. It is a necessary thing to be able to throw out and start again. Throw out the stuff that didn't work and start again. It's not a failure. It's not anything that's gone wrong. It's just normal. So this is a new way to think about your life, that it is normal to start again and throw out stuff that doesn't work, that hasn't worked, that is not going to work. But after you've done that experiment, you know, so taking out the trash is really, really, really important in a human life. And let's see, what are we talking about? What is trash? So think about your short-term memory. What is that, the one-time password that you just got to get into your Amazon or your bank account? What is it? You probably don't remember it. Why don't you remember it? It's because your short-term memory has like a little buffer zone where it can only contain so much. And as a necessity, it purges that information so that you can have more short-term memory to serve you in the moment. Okay? It's not supposed to stay there forever. And so your why am I having trouble saying that? Short-term memory, your short-term memory is supposed to throw stuff into the trash to keep going. Okay? So just like that, it's a natural function. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, we just don't need that stuff anymore. And so it gets rid of it. It throws it into the dumpster and it gets hauled away. Okay? Same thing for the experimentation that we do as well. Same exact thing. The experimentation that we do that doesn't really work or that isn't going to lead into something else, it needs to go in the dumpster. And sometimes we need to do that. We need to throw that in the dumpster. So I'll give an example. And this is something that I work with my psychotherapy clients a lot, around trauma and around anxiety and panic. So think about, a gazelle. And let's say the gazelle is like eating some grass out in the middle of the desert or in the middle of the jungle somewhere. And they're by a pond. And all of a sudden, a lion comes running out of the woods. And the gazelle sees the lion. It just jumps straight up in the air, runs away. All of the biochemistry kicks in for the gazelle to get away. And it does. And now it's on the other side of the field. The lion's way over there. And what does it do? It starts eating grass again. Just like that happened before. And now the lion's way over here and I'm here and I'm fine. But what happens with a human is that we get scared by the lion, and psychologically and emotionally and neurochemically, we carry the lion with us just in case there's another lion behind the garbage can or behind the church, or the other lion's going to be in our back seat of our car, right? And so we get hijacked by something that happened before, and we carry it around as if it's still happening. That's what PTSD is. You know, it's that we are living as if it's still here. And so one of the ways to deal with the fact that happens to us as humans is to, one thing I'd like to give my clients is to just notice, right now, are you safe? Right now, look around. Is there anything scary that is about to happen? Are you in a safe environment? Start by checking your physical surroundings. Am I okay here? And then you go deeper and deeper to see, where is it that I feel scared? Where is it that this fear is helping me to carry with me something that's already gone? Okay, and so we kind of keep going deeper and deeper and deeper until we find that layer that we are carrying this thing around. So same thing when we're doing our experiments and we're changing for the new year or the new day or the new week. We are, out of necessity, needing to be able to let go of the lion, let go of what has happened before, let go of whatever hasn't worked out the way we thought it would, so that we have the space to be curious again. We have the space to be hopeful again, interested, And when we're hopeful and interested and curious, we don't have any room to be freaked out about what didn't work and how we failed and any of those things. So that's what's really important here, is to be able to have that spaciousness to start again. And nobody's going to come up there and hand it to you. You've got to do that for yourself. You've got to give yourself permission to start again. Okay? It's natural, it's normal, it's necessary. But only you can give yourself that permission. Okay, so let's have a small little break for a commercial. And when we come back from that commercial, I'm going to guide you through a meditation for the new year that will hopefully help you to move into it with lots of space and openness and newness, and that you'll be able to use this meditation whenever you need to start again. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in, and then deeply exhale. Imagine that you're walking towards a doorway in the distance that represents the new year. What does your doorway look like? How are you feeling as you approach this door? As you're making your way towards the door, you happen to look behind you and you see something from the old year that is following you. Take a moment to notice what this is. What is so important about this thing from the previous year that is following you even now as you're stepping into the new year? Have a conversation with this thing and see what you can learn about it. What does it have to tell you? And what do you say in response? You realize that if you do nothing, this thing will follow you into the new year. And if you consciously let go of it, you will move into the new year with a fresh start. What do you decide to do? whatever your decision, you walk over the threshold of the door of the new year and of your new life. And now, with this experience fully intact in your awareness, and when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into this room. So I hope you enjoyed that guided meditation, and I urge you to play it again and use it for whatever you need to use it for when you're starting over. So, I want you to look at your, look at your body, for instance. Right now, you are a day older than yesterday. You're a year older than last year. You're 10 years older than 10 years ago. You're in a different stage of development than you were X amount of years ago. And so if any of those things, the stage of, different levels of development, if any of those were meant to stay, they would stay. But they move, they change. They're there for a reason. And they're there to kind of force us to keep moving, to keep changing, to keep growing, to keep seeing things in a different way. I remember when I first was, when I was maybe up until the age of maybe 8, 9, 10, girls were icky. And I remember that shift in fourth grade when I realized that girls are not too bad. They're not really icky, and I actually kind of like them. But it was a really weird change because it's like, how do I just switch? How do I just stop and, make that transition? Because up until this point, I've told everybody that girls are icky and I don't like them. They've got cooties. How am I going to explain this new position that I have where, hey, they're actually kind of cool? How do I do that? Right? And so I remember that being a big, big shift for me. Shift in terms of how I was seeing the world and how I was considering. It was like an about face. And, throughout my life, there's been many, many, many of those things, seeing things in a different way. I also was like Siddhartha in that way of, taking a path of meditation and deprivation in some ways to try and seek enlightenment. And I see things in a completely different way at this point. And so we all have these things. We all have these different layers and levels and periods where we are moving in one direction only to find out, well, actually I need to take a different direction. Sometimes I even need to take the opposite direction. Okay? And so that for a human being is not a contradiction. That doesn't mean that you were stupid before because you were going in a different direction than you are now. What it means is that you are alive, you're responding to the moment, and you are allowing yourself to be new and start over out of necessity. So this starting over is a right as a human being, is a privilege, and it's also a necessity. To become an adolescent, you have to leave earlier childhood. To become an adult, you have to leave your adolescence and teenage years. It's necessary. And so as you're making your changes for the new year, as you're moving into something new, realize this is not just for fun. This is a necessity. It's important to know that these changes and this ability to start over is such a beautiful quality, and you are allowed to use it whenever you need it. It doesn't matter what you said yesterday. It doesn't matter what you thought was true yesterday. What matters is how you're seeing it right now. And if you're seeing the world differently, and if you're seeing through 2023 that certain things didn't work for you, and you have an idea of how they could be better, you damn well better change it. Because that is the human experience. I tried this, it didn't work, and now I'm doing something different because that's my right, that's my privilege, and it is necessary. So that's what I want you to think about going into this week until we have our next show. I want you to think about how necessary it is and how much of a right and a privilege it is to be able to shift and start again. Shift and start again. Shift and start again. The threshold of a new year is an auspicious time to set ourselves on a new course, make life changes, and adopt a fresh outlook. More than this, the new year represents a necessary clearing of anything that didn't work to bring us joy, fulfillment, or purpose last year. So as we move into the newness of another year, we have the right to leave behind whatever we choose to leave in the past and to look forward to whatever we envision as a bright future for ourselves and the world around us. Make sure you exercise this right of newness and potential in your own life going forward into 2024. And that's our show for this week. I want to thank everybody for joining me here today, and I really enjoyed hanging out with you. I hope you found something really valuable for your personal development journey. I want to wish everybody a very, very happy, prosperous, and fulfilling new year. Here's one thing I want you to take with you this week, one thing to remember. And remember this for, every day that you move into. I have the right to start over whenever I want to. I'll say it again. I have the right to start over whenever I want to. Take that with you. And until we see each other again, I want you to remember to stay curious and be kind to yourself. And remember that your genius has something to say.
Thanks for watching The Genius Way Show with Ben Hummel. Make sure to visit thegeniusway.com for the resources you need to help you on your personal life journey. You can contact Ben at ben@thegeniusway.com. And you can follow The Genius Way with Ben Hummel on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for streaming The Genius Way Show with Ben Hummel.